My name's Mr Holderness. I'm the coordinator of Pathways College. Pathways College is a sixth form provision for 16-year-olds with additional needs based at the Hewitt School site in Norwich. We offer 1 year placement at the college for two main objectives. The first one being to improve the students' independence skills, and the second objective is to make their transition into college successful. The provision at Pathways College is for 5 days a week for 1 year only. The college day starts at 9 o'clock and ends at 3:15. We identify targets for each student to become more independent, and we practice those targets throughout the year. We also have links with the colleges that allow those pupils to become familiar with the buildings, the people, the places and the courses to allow the transition into college to be smooth and successful.
What would you like to do when you leave college?
I like to go to Easton for the next step.
You like to go to Easton for the next step?
Yes, I do.
On a Wednesday morning we go to City College, and what we do is we go around the site and learning about different parts of the areas at City College, and some of us go on different groups to go around to the library, and we cook some meals at lunchtime.
With Pathways, we designed a bespoke programme because we had a couple of students who were really keen on hospitality and they really wanted to do cooking, and very luckily the kitchen was free at the time when they were able to come. We managed to design a programme which would mean that the group would be cooking each week, cooking their own lunch, whilst small groups would branch off and find out more about college. They are fantastic. They really get involved. They pretty much do most of the cooking. I'm just overseeing it. I make sure that they're as independent as possible. So instead of saying, do this, I say, what do you think we need to do next? And they know what to do. It's really, really good for getting them used to it. Some of the students are really, really nervous about coming up to college. And so this just means that they're here as part of their Pathways College, but they're here in City College and they're just getting used to being here. Today, a couple of the students said, I'm just going off to the toilet. They went off by themselves, found their way back. They're getting used to finding their way round. They're getting used to feeling that although college is huge, you don't need to know the entire place. You just need to know what you need to know.
The students here are treated as young adults. We call them young adults as opposed to students, to differentiate between a school setting and a college setting. We've named this Pathways College, although technically it is a sixth form provision, again for the students to identify change from school into somewhere new. That being said, a student here will still have an annual review meeting every year because it is still a school setting, not a college setting. We currently have 3 members of staff at Pathways College. We are looking to expand that number for September 2013. When we do activities such as Titan, where we go out in the community, the students are always very closely supervised. However, throughout the year we tend to try and wean off the close supervision to have more remote supervision to allow those students to make good choices and so on. Throughout the year we spend a lot of time doing activities in the city. For example, one of the modules, which is out in the community, encourages students to make good choices as they're moving around familiar and unfamiliar situations. For example, we do many trips out to places like the Forum. We go for drinks where the students have to use mathematics functionally. They have to practice their communication and interactive skills with people they don't necessarily know. We encourage them to plan trips, recreational trips. For example, this year the students have been to the Great Yarmouth Sea Life Centre. They had to plan that trip by themselves. They had to make phone calls, they had to manage a budget, and they had to plan their day in terms of the timings of the day. We've also been to Open and used their youth services, for example the climbing wall. Again, they were encouraged to phone Open to make the arrangements, to plan their day, to plan what they were going to eat, and to run a small budget. We're based on the Hewitt School campus in Norwich. The Hewitt School is a very large secondary school. We rent rooms in the heart of the school, so we are sandwiched between the Hewitt sixth form block and the main teaching block, the main school block. So we encourage links with Hewitt School wherever we can. So currently we have Hewitt School sixth form volunteers coming to work with our students certain times of the week. They're the same age as our students, it's very peer appropriate, and we encourage friendships to develop between the two groups. We use the Hewitt School facilities wherever we can. For example, the Hewitt School swimming pool and the Hewitt School playing fields. As part of our Titan independent work, we also encourage students to be familiar with their surroundings. So we actually give them tasks to find their way around the Hewitt School site. It could be the nurse's office, it could be the local police station on the site, it could be the head teacher's office, it could be the medical room. Parents reported significant changes in our students so far this year. For example, students are now making their own breakfasts without needing to be prompted. They're cleaning up when asked to do different tasks at home. Some of our students are now able to use a mobile phone independently, whereas last year the parents would have said that they would be very surprised if they could have used that sort of technology by themselves. Some of our students have very specific targets. For example, it can be something as simple as tying shoelaces or being able to open a bag of crisps by themselves. Each of those targets, we have the time to be able to break them down and allow that student to achieve that target. And with that, they identify themselves increasingly as being young adults rather than students. Students who wish to apply for a place at the college will be given an application form by their guidance advisor in schools. The guidance advisor will help the student to complete the form, and there'll be a part of the form to be completed by parents also. Parents can contact the college at any time to come and have a look and see what we do, and I'd be only too happy to show them around the college and answer any questions. The curriculum we offer at Pathways is based on the ASDAN Towards Independence set of units. We tend to concentrate on independent living and out in the community to start with. We identify those as being crucial for all of our students to master before they move on to others that are more bespoke for them. We offer numeracy, literacy, ICT, citizenship. We have a range of recreational activities that are appropriate for a college setting. Pupils are encouraged to make good choices here, not being necessarily led by adults, but making those choices by themselves.
In my recreation time, I would like to go outside. I sometimes do Zumba, and sometimes I play table tennis.
I like playing games in recreation time.
Sometimes I like playing Wii.
I like playing pool, table football and darts.
We also look at the Titan programme of independent travel. Titan is an initiative that encourages pupils and students to learn independent skills when it comes to crossing roads, when it comes to using buses, etc. So it's travelling independently and safely. As part of the Titan programme, students will work on tasks such as using zebra crossings, knowing where to cross a road, being able to indent so they're not crossing at junctions where it's unsafe, making decisions for themselves about when it's safe, when it's not safe, and being able to make those decisions quickly, clearly and correctly. Their skills in independent travel are addressed at least weekly. We concentrate on core skills. In the context of maths, we take advice from the school from which the students come in terms of their levels, what they're already good at and what they need to work on. So we'll set them targets in those areas. In terms of maths, we make sure that they can recognise all coin values. We encourage them to be able to calculate simple change. We ask them to use the calculator function on a mobile phone, a very functional form of maths. So if they're in a shop, if there is no adult to help them there, they could in theory be able to use their mobile phone, which hopefully is in their pocket, to actually work out how much maybe 2 or 3 items may be added together.
My targets are to write full stops in capital letters, to recognise all coins, to cope with a noisy place, to order a drink or talk to someone that I don't know.
In terms of English and core skills, we carry on the skills in speech and language, in written and in spoken English. We try and do that in as many imaginative ways as possible. This year the students have created their own imaginary world called the Kingdom of Hearts. Through that, every week they write a chapter of the story themselves, so they take it in turns to go around and say the next stage of the story. So we don't know how the story is going to develop from the start of the lesson to the end. From that, we can practice drama activities. We're looking at trying to narrate some of the artwork that they've done surrounding the story and so on. They have a stake in the lesson. They very much enjoy having their own characters, creating their own characters, naming their own characters, and from that we can tease out written tasks. We can encourage clear enunciation of the work that they're doing. And we can actually look at it in a more creative way as well, in terms of their drama, in terms of ICT and animation.
I'm Miss Sanderson and I come over from Parkside to teach swimming on a Monday morning. It's very important, it's a life skill. We're surrounded by rivers and we've got the sea and all that sort of thing locally, so really it's a skill that's very important and very good for their health. We're very lucky because the pool has a shallow end and a deep end. We have use of it solely for our own pupils, so it means that they get a lot of time. Well, it's a whole hour, which is really good because you normally only get half an hour. So an hour of swimming is a good length of time to have a warm-up, a lesson, and then a little bit of time at the end where they can do different things. And we've got lots of equipment we can use, which is accessible to us also.
On a Friday afternoon, we have the Parkside music teacher coming to the college who does singing and music with the students.
I'm Helen Holderness and I work at Parkside most of the time, but I have a very special treat on a Friday afternoon when I come over to Pathways and I do some music with the students here. They really get a lot out of it. We all really, really enjoy it. We've built up a bank of songs over the last few weeks, made up of their favourites. So we have a sort of song choice time. I think it's a lovely way of rounding off the week. You know, when they've been out and about doing various things, they come back to college at the end and we all sit around a table and just really enjoy ourselves and have fun.
For each individual, we identify what it is that they have become dependent upon previously. We try and break down those ties very gradually to allow that person to find ways to cope with new situations by themselves without resorting necessarily to adults around them. So we call that their toolbox. We give them different methods to approach a situation. For example, it could be as simple as something as tying their shoelaces. It could be learning how to deal with strangers in a cafe, in a restaurant, in a bus station, something like that. If they're unfamiliar with that, it's about how we deal with those issues. As part of the independent living module, the students learn skills such as planning a small budget. So every Friday morning, the students will sit down and have a think about what they're going to eat for each of the lunches throughout the week. We have packed lunches on Mondays to Thursdays, and on Fridays the students cook their own hot meal for everybody else. They take it in turns on a rota basis to cook a meal for everybody else. So the ingredients that are required need to be purchased, so they make shopping lists on a Friday morning, and on a Monday morning we use our minibus to go to local supermarkets to buy the provisions for the week. They're encouraged to use money themselves, to do the communication themselves. Each of the students is given their own tasks to do in the shop that they can practice throughout the year.
Thank you very much.
My favourite task is the cooking. I love cooking spaghetti and meatballs. When I leave, I want to work in a restaurant.
Lizzie, you like cheese sauce, don't you?
We encourage healthy eating at Pathways College, So we encourage them to have a very balanced diet here as well. Also, as part of the independent living, students are taught to make their breakfasts, make hot drinks for visitors. They are expected to do chores throughout the day, such as cleaning, washing up, mopping the floor and hoovering. We encourage students to make their own beds. We encourage students to learn skills such as cleaning sinks, cleaning toilets, all of the horrible jobs as well. And that is all aggregated as part of their independent living module for us down at the end of the year.
My favourite one will be doing work Celsius, and I do a different job I can do, like washing up, like tied up, sweeping the floor, taking out the cups, you know what I mean.
When the students arrive in the morning at the college, we encourage them to do some quiet reading, some one-to-one reading at their own level. If a student struggles to read at all independently, then we encourage them to access audio books that we may choose from the library so that they can access stories independently without anybody's help. We also keep reading records, so we encourage students to take books home and actually carry on the work that we're doing in the college. As part of the curriculum, we encourage the students to work with a range of different adults, not just ourselves, so they become familiar with the way that other people work. Recently, we've worked with an organisation called Culture Works East, who have been doing some animations with the students. The animations were put together by a filmmaker into a short film that was entered for a film festival. The students were picked up in a stretched Hummer limousine and taken to red carpet events, so we got them dressed up in their suits and ball gowns. Parents were able to see the progress made by the students on their path towards independence. The curriculum we offer at Pathways is unaccredited on the QCF, the Qualification Credit Framework. Students, when they've come from schools, generally have got an awful lot of accreditation on courses, and when they go on to their college placement, further education placement, they'll again gain accreditation on those courses. So our job is not to accredit what they do formally, but to move them on in a very individualised way to allow the next step to be very successful.
Pathways College, from having seen them from the beginning, they have all grown and blossomed. Their independent skills have come on so much more since leaving school. It is just like a mini college, and the environment is friendly and relaxed, and everybody that's been and visited has just said how wonderful it is, and you just feel welcome. And it's a really nice place to come and visit. And the children are all really relaxed and grown up and independent. It's great.
Oh, Pathways has just gone from strength to strength. I've watched as an objective observer the progress that the students have made, because I knew most of them when they first arrived back in September, and the progress that they've made over the last few months has been phenomenal. They've all grown and matured into responsible and independent adults.
Well, I'm very proud of what the students have achieved at Pathways College. It's a great privilege to see them develop into young adults and to acknowledge that each student is able to achieve so much more than I think they thought they could at the start of the year. To be able to see that in operation is absolutely fantastic, and I feel very privileged to work at Pathways College.